The sun shone brightly over Pine Creek Community Center. It was a special Saturday in May, the day of the annual Father-Daughter Community Day. Colorful balloons and welcome signs decorated the entrance. Families arrived in their best clothes, excited for a day of fun activities. 11-year-old Zara Jenkins stood alone at the check-in table. She wore a pretty yellow dress that her dad had bought just for this event. Her hair was neatly braided with yellow ribbons that matched her dress. She held her registration papers tightly in her small hands. Next, called Officer Pete Dawson, a tall man with a stern face. He was in charge of security for the event. He looked down at Zara with raised eyebrows. "Where's your father, young lady?" Zara took a deep breath. "He's coming soon. He had to work late, but he promised he'd be here." Officer Dawson frowned. "Sorry, but rules are rules. No kids without parents. You'll have to step aside until he shows up." "But I registered weeks ago," Zara said, showing him her papers. "My dad paid for everything. He's just running late because of his job." "And what job is so important that he's late to this?" Officer Dawson asked with a hint of judgment in his voice. Zara stood up straight, proud to answer. "My dad is in the Special Forces. Sometimes he gets called in for important missions." Officer Dawson's face changed. First, his eyes widened. Then, a small smile formed on his lips. The smile turned into a chuckle. He turned to his partner, Officer Miller, who was checking in another family. "Hey, Miller, you hear that? This little girl says her daddy's in Special Forces. That's why he's late." He laughed louder now. Several people in line turned to look. Zara felt her cheeks grow hot with embarrassment. "Listen, kid," Officer Dawson said, not trying to hide his disbelief. "I've heard all kinds of stories today. One girl said her dad was stuck in traffic. Another said her dad was finishing up at work. But Special Forces, that's a new one." "It's true," Zara said quietly, fighting back tears. "My dad is Master Sergeant Marcus Jenkins. He works with the 5th Special Forces Group." Officer Dawson rolled his eyes. "Sure he is. And my uncle is the President of the United States." He laughed again, and a few people in line joined in. Mrs. Thompson, Zora's math teacher, was volunteering at the event. She walked over when she saw what was happening. "Is everything okay here?" she asked, giving Zara a kind smile. "This young lady says she can't go in without her father, but he's running late because he's in Special Forces," Officer Dawson explained with another laugh. "I was just telling her she needs to wait outside until her parent arrives." Mrs. Thompson looked at Zara with sympathy. "Zara is one of my best students, officer. If she says her father is coming, I believe her." "Rules are rules, ma'am," Officer Dawson said firmly. "No exceptions. She can wait on that bench over there." He pointed to a bench near the entrance. Zara walked to the bench, her head down. She sat alone, watching other girls walk in happily with their fathers. She checked her phone. No messages from her dad yet. She knew his work was unpredictable, but he had promised to come. From his position at the entrance, Officer Dawson occasionally glanced over at Zara with a mix of annoyance and amusement. He had dealt with plenty of kids making up stories before. This was just another tall tale in his mind. What Officer Dawson didn't know was that at that very moment, a black SUV was speeding toward the community center. Inside was a man whose arrival would wipe the smirk right off the officer's face. Zara sat on the bench, trying not to cry. She watched as more fathers and daughters walked past her into the community center. Some girls from her school looked at her with pity. Others whispered and pointed. Zara wished she could disappear. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from her dad. "Almost there, princess. Just 5 more minutes. Love you." Zara smiled and wiped away a tear. She knew her dad would come. He always kept his promises. Meanwhile, Officer Dawson continued checking in families at the entrance. He had already forgotten about Zara. To him, she was just another kid with a made-up story. "Did you see that girl?" a man in line asked his daughter. "The one sitting alone?" I heard she tried to come in without her father. Said he was in special forces or something. Poor thing, the man's daughter replied. Maybe her dad really is coming. Officer Dawson overheard them and snorted. Trust me, I've been doing security for these events for 10 years. Kids make up all kinds of stories when their parents don't show up. Just then, the sound of a powerful engine caught everyone's attention. A black SUV with government plates pulled up to the curb. The car stopped, and the driver's door opened. Out stepped a tall, muscular man in crisp military dress uniform. His chest displayed several medals and badges. His face was serious, with a strong jaw and alert eyes that missed nothing. This was Master Sergeant Marcus Jenkins, and he moved with the quiet confidence of a man who had faced dangers most people couldn't imagine. Zara jumped up from the bench. "Dad," she called out, her face lighting up with joy. Marcus smiled when he saw his daughter. "Hey, princess. Sorry I'm late." His deep voice was gentle as he hugged her. People near the entrance stopped to watch. It wasn't every day they saw a Special Forces soldier in full dress uniform. Parents nudged each other and pointed. "Is that her dad?" Someone whispered. "He really is in the military," another person said. Marcus held Zora's hand as they walked toward the entrance. "Had an emergency briefing. Couldn't tell you about it over the phone," he explained to her quietly. When they reached the check-in table, Officer Dawson was busy with another family. He didn't look up right away. "Excuse me," Marcus said politely. "We need to check in." Officer Dawson glanced up, annoyed at the interruption. Then he froze. His eyes moved from Marcus's face to his uniform, taking in the Special Forces insignia, the Ranger tab, the combat patches, and the rows of medals. Officer Dawson stammered, suddenly recognizing Zara standing next to the soldier. "Master Sergeant Marcus Jenkins, 5th Special Forces Group," Marcus said, extending his hand. "And this is my daughter, Zara. I believe she was here earlier trying to explain that I was running late." Officer Dawson's face turned red. He shook Marcus's hand weakly. "Yes, sir. She was. We have a policy about unaccompanied minors." "I understand," Marcus said calmly. "Safety first." Mrs. Thompson approached with a wide smile. "Sergeant Jenkins, so good to see you made it. Zara is one of my best math students, you know." "Thank you, ma'am. She gets her brains from her mother," Marcus replied with a smile. Officer Dawson shuffled some papers, clearly uncomfortable. "Let me get your check-in packet," he mumbled, avoiding eye contact with both Marcus and Zara. As Officer Dawson searched for their registration, other military families at the event noticed Marcus. Two men in civilian clothes but with military haircuts nodded respectfully at him. Marcus nodded back, the silent acknowledgement of brothers in arms. "Here you go, sir," Officer Dawson said, handing over the packet. His voice was different now, respectful, almost nervous. "Enjoy the event." Marcus accepted the packet and looked directly at Officer Dawson. "Thank you. I appreciate you looking out for my daughter's safety while I wasn't here." The words were polite, but everyone nearby could feel the tension. Marcus knew exactly what had happened, and Officer Dawson knew that he knew. Marcus and Zara walked into the community center, leaving Officer Dawson standing there, learning a hard lesson about judging people too quickly. Inside the community center, the Father-Daughter Day was in full swing. The large hall was decorated with colorful balloons and streamers. Tables were set up around the edges of the room with different activities. In the center, some fathers and daughters were already dancing to upbeat music. "Wow, they really went all out this year," Marcus said, looking around. "Sorry again for being late, princess." Zara squeezed her dad's hand. "It's okay. You're here now." But her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Marcus noticed. He knelt down so he was at eye level with his daughter. "Hey, what's wrong? Did that officer upset you?" Zora looked down at her shoes. "He laughed at me, Dad. When I told him you were in Special Forces, he thought I was making it up." Her voice was small. Some of the other kids heard him, and they laughed too. Marcus's jaw tightened for a moment. Then his expression softened. People judge what they don't understand, Zora. That's their problem, not yours. He straightened her yellow ribbon. You know the truth. That's what matters. But why didn't he believe me? Zora asked. Marcus sighed. Sometimes people have ideas in their heads about who can be what. They see a young black girl and they don't expect her dad to be in special forces. He smiled gently. But you and I know better, right? Zara nodded, standing a little taller. Right. Now, what should we do first? Marcus asked, changing the subject. Dancing. Arts and crafts. I see they have a photo booth over there. Let's make the bird feeders first, Zora said, pointing to a table where other families were working with pine cones, peanut butter, and bird seed. As they walked to the table, Zora noticed people looking at them. Some smiled warmly. Others whispered to each other. She realized many people had seen what happened at the entrance. At the bird feeder station, they met Mr. Wilson and his daughter Emma, who was in Zora's class. Sergeant Jenkins, Mr. Wilson said with respect. He had served in the Army years ago. Good to see you, sir. Just Marcus today. Marcus replied with a smile. I'm off duty. As the girls worked on their bird feeders, Mr. Wilson leaned closer to Marcus. I saw what happened outside. That officer had no right to treat your daughter that way. Marcus nodded but kept his voice low so the girls wouldn't hear. It happens more than you'd think. I just try to teach Zora to hold her head high. Well, for what it's worth, my Emma talks about Zara all the time. Says she's the smartest kid in class. Mr. Wilson grinned. Meanwhile, at the entrance, Officer Dawson was having a difficult time. Word had spread quickly about how he had treated Zora. Parents were giving him cold looks. Some made comments just loud enough for him to hear. Can't believe he laughed at that poor girl. Just because she's black, he didn't believe her. My husband served with Jenkins. Man's a hero. Officer Dawson felt worse by the minute. His partner, Officer Miller, wasn't helping. You really stepped in it this time, Pete, Miller said. That's Marcus Jenkins. Did 2 tours in Afghanistan. Got the Silver Star for pulling 3 men out of a burning vehicle under enemy fire. Back at the bird feeder table, Zara was laughing as she got peanut butter all over her fingers. For the moment, she had forgotten about the incident outside. Marcus watched his daughter with pride. Despite everything, she was resilient. Mrs. Thompson stopped by their table. Sergeant Jenkins, the father-daughter dance competition starts in 15 minutes. You two should enter. Zara told me you're quite the dancer. Zora's eyes lit up. Can we, Dad? Please. Marcus pretended to think about it. I don't know. My dancing might embarrass you. He was teasing, and Zara knew it. Dad, you're the best dancer ever. Zara laughed. Then I guess we're entering the competition, Marcus said with a wink at Mrs. Thompson. What they didn't know was that the dance competition would bring even more attention their way and create an unexpected opportunity for Officer Dawson to make things right. The announcement for the father-daughter dance competition came over the speakers. Families moved toward the center of the hall where a large dance floor had been set up. Colorful lights flashed across the polished wooden floor, and music played from big speakers. All father-daughter pairs who want to join the dance competition, please come to the dance floor now, called the DJ, a young man with a bright smile. That's us, Dad, Zora said, pulling Marcus by the hand. She had washed the peanut butter off her fingers and was ready to dance. 10 pairs joined the competition. Zora noticed that some of the girls who had laughed at her earlier were now watching with curious eyes. She felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. Remember what we practiced at home? Marcus asked with a wink. Zara nodded. They had often danced together in their living room. Marcus had learned to dance from Zara's mother before she passed away 3 years ago. Since then, dancing had become a special bond between father and daughter. The DJ explained the rules. We'll play 3 different songs. After each song, Our judges will eliminate some pairs. The last pair standing wins the trophy. Mrs. Thompson was one of the 3 judges. She gave Zara an encouraging thumbs up. The first song was a fast pop tune. All the fathers and daughters started dancing. Some were very good. Others were just having fun without worrying about skill. Marcus and Zara moved with perfect timing. He twirled her around, and she followed his lead like they had practiced many times. People watching from the sides began to clap along. Some pointed at Marcus and Zara. "Look at them go. That military guy can really dance. Isn't that the girl from earlier?" Even Officer Dawson, who was still at his post by the entrance, could see them dancing. He watched with surprise on his face. When the first song ended, the judges talked among themselves. Then they eliminated 3 pairs who hadn't moved much on the dance floor. The second song was slower. Marcus bent down and whispered something in Zara's ear. She giggled and nodded. When the music started, they began a ballroom-style dance that Marcus had taught her. He held her hand properly and guided her through the steps. "Where did they learn that?" someone in the crowd asked. "That's not just random dancing. That's actual ballroom technique," said another parent who taught dance classes. Mrs. Thompson smiled proudly as she watched her student. After the second song, the judges eliminated 3 more pairs. Now only 4 pairs remained for the final round. Marcus and Zara, Mr. Wilson and Emma, and 2 other father-daughter pairs. The DJ spoke into the microphone. "For our final round, we have a special challenge. Each pair will get 30 seconds to show us their best moves. The crowd will cheer for their favorite, and the judges will make the final decision." The first pair did a cute routine where the father lifted his daughter up high. The crowd clapped loudly. The second pair did some funny robot dance moves that made everyone laugh. Mr. Wilson and Emma performed a sweet slow dance that brought awes from the audience. Finally, it was Marcus and Zara's turn. The DJ put on an upbeat song with a strong beat. Marcus nodded at Zara. They had saved their best moves for last. They started with simple steps, but then Marcus spun Zara around and did a series of complex turns with her. For the final, he lifted her up onto his shoulder, where she balanced perfectly with her arms outstretched, before he gently spun her back down to the ground. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Even the other competitors were clapping. Officer Dawson watched from the back of the room, his face showing a mix of emotions. He clapped slowly, his eyes never leaving the father and daughter on the dance floor. The judges didn't even need to discuss. Mrs. Thompson stood up and walked to the DJ, who handed her the microphone and a small trophy. "The winners of this year's father-daughter dance competition are," she paused for effect, "Master Sergeant Marcus Jenkins and his daughter Zara." The crowd cheered as Zara and Marcus walked up to receive their trophy. Zara's face was bright with joy. She held the small gold trophy as if it were made of diamonds. Many people took pictures with their phones. Camera flashes lit up the room. "Speech, speech," someone called out. Soon others joined in. Mrs. Thompson handed the microphone to Marcus. He looked at Zara, who nodded eagerly. "Thank you all," Marcus said in his deep, calm voice. "This means a lot to us. Zara has been practicing her dance moves for weeks." He paused and looked down at his daughter. "My late wife taught me to dance. She always said that a father should be able to dance with his daughter. I know she would be proud today." Many people in the crowd nodded. Some wiped away tears. "And thank you to the community center for hosting this wonderful event," Marcus added. "It's important for fathers to spend quality time with their daughters." As they walked off the dance floor, people came up to congratulate them. Some fathers asked Marcus where he learned to dance so well. Many girls from Zara's school suddenly wanted to talk to her. Zara felt like a celebrity. "Dad, everyone wants to be my friend now," Zara whispered. Marcus knelt down beside her. "Remember this lesson, Zara. Some people only see your value when others point it out. True friends see it from the beginning." Zara thought about this. She remembered how Emma had always been nice to her, even before today. After the excitement died down, Marcus and Zara headed to the refreshment table. They were both thirsty after their dance performance. As Marcus poured punch into cups, a nervous voice spoke behind them. "Excuse me, Sergeant Jenkins." They turned around. It was Officer Dawson. He looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. "Yes, officer," Marcus replied politely, but his eyes were watchful. Officer Dawson cleared his throat. "I wanted to congratulate you both on winning the dance competition." "Thank you," Marcus said simply. Officer Dawson looked at Zara, then back at Marcus. "And I also wanted to apologize. To both of you, but especially to you, young lady." He spoke directly to Zara now. "I shouldn't have laughed when you told me about your father. That was wrong of me." Zara looked up at her dad, unsure how to respond. "Why did you laugh, Officer Dawson?" Marcus asked calmly. His tone wasn't angry, just questioning. Officer Dawson's face turned red. I guess I made assumptions. When she said her dad was in Special Forces, I didn't." He stopped, realizing there was no good way to finish that sentence. "You didn't expect her dad to look like me," Marcus suggested. "Something like that, sir," Officer Dawson admitted. "It was unprofessional and disrespectful." Marcus was quiet for a moment. The silence made Officer Dawson even more uncomfortable. "You know," Marcus finally said, "in Special Forces, we learned that assumptions can get you killed. We judge situations based on facts, not what we think we know." "Yes, sir," Officer Dawson said quietly. "Would you like to tell my daughter something?" Marcus asked, his hand on Zara's shoulder. Officer Dawson knelt down so he was at Zara's eye level. "I'm very sorry I didn't believe you, Zara. I was wrong. Your dad is not only in the Special Forces, but he's also an amazing dancer." He smiled slightly at this last part. Zara looked at the officer's face. She could tell he really meant it. "It's okay," she said. "Everyone makes mistakes sometimes." From across the room, Mrs. Thompson watched the interaction with approval. She knew this was an important moment for Zara, learning that even adults need to admit when they're wrong. "There's something else," Officer Dawson said, standing up again. "My son is thinking about joining the military after high school. Would it be possible, if you have time someday, maybe you could talk to him about it?" Marcus raised his eyebrows, surprised by the request. "I'd be happy to," he said after a moment. "Here's my card. Have him call me." Officer Dawson took the card with genuine gratitude. "Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it." As the officer walked away, Zara looked up at her dad with new understanding. Today was about more than just dancing. It was about respect, forgiveness, and standing tall in the face of wrong assumptions. After Officer Dawson left, Marcus and Zara found a quiet table to enjoy their punch. Several people stopped by to congratulate them on winning the dance competition. Zara proudly showed off their trophy to everyone who asked about it. "You know what, Princess? I think we should check out the photo booth," Marcus suggested. "We need a picture to remember this day." Zara's eyes lit up. "Yes, and we can put the trophy in the picture too." They walked to the photo booth in the corner of the room. It had a long line of fathers and daughters waiting for their turn. While they waited, Zara noticed a girl from her school standing nearby, looking sad. It was Lily Chen, and she was alone. "Dad," Zara whispered, "that's Lily from my science class. She looks upset." Marcus looked over. "Maybe you should talk to her while we wait." Zara nodded and walked over to Lily. "Hi, Lily. Are you okay?" Lily wiped away a tear. "My dad couldn't come today. He's a doctor and got called into emergency surgery this morning." "I'm sorry," Zara said. "My dad was almost late too. His work is also unpredictable." Lily sighed. "But your dad made it. Mine couldn't. Now I can't do any of the father-daughter activities." Zara thought for a moment, then took Lily's hand. "Come with me." She led Lily back to where Marcus was waiting in line. "Dad," This is Lily. Her dad is a doctor and had to do emergency surgery today. Can she join us for some of the activities? Marcus smiled warmly at Lily. Of course she can. It's nice to meet you, Lily. Your dad sounds like a hero, saving lives today. Lily's face brightened a little. He is. He's the best dad ever. I bet he is, Marcus agreed. And I bet he feels terrible about missing today. Why don't you join us for photos, and then we can all have some cake? Really? You wouldn't mind? Lily asked. Not at all. Any friend of Zora's is welcome, Marcus said. When it was their turn at the photo booth, Marcus, Zora, and Lily squeezed inside. They took several pictures, some serious, some silly with funny props. In one photo, they all wore fake mustaches and held the trophy. In another, they made surprised faces while pointing at the trophy. After the photos printed, Lily looked much happier. Thank you so much. My dad will love seeing these pictures. As they headed to the cake table, Mrs. Thompson approached them with an excited look on her face. Sergeant Jenkins, would you mind doing something special for us today? She asked. What's that, ma'am? Marcus replied. We have a career talk portion coming up. We were planning to have local professionals talk to the girls about different careers. Would you be willing to speak about your work in the military? Many of the girls are curious, especially after seeing you in uniform. Marcus hesitated. He rarely talked about his work, even with Zora. Much of what he did was classified. Seeing his hesitation, Mrs. Thompson added, nothing classified, of course, just general information about military careers and what kinds of skills are important. Marcus looked at Zora. What do you think, Princess? Should I do it? Zora nodded eagerly. Yes, I want everyone to know how cool your job is. Then I'd be happy to speak, Marcus told Mrs. Thompson. Wonderful. We'll set up in about 20 minutes, Mrs. Thompson said, clearly delighted. She hurried off to organize things. Lily looked at Zora with new respect. Your dad is going to give a talk. That's so cool. Zora smiled proudly. He doesn't talk about his work much. This is special. What none of them realized was that someone else had overheard their conversation. Officer Dawson stood nearby, listening. He pulled out his phone and made a quick call. Hey, son, remember how you were asking about military careers? Well, there's going to be a talk by a Special Forces soldier in about 20 minutes at the community center. Yes, the real deal. I think you should come down here right away. Officer Dawson put his phone away, a thoughtful expression on his face. Sometimes, he realized, mistakes could lead to unexpected opportunities. 20 minutes later, the community center's main area had been rearranged. Chairs were set up in rows facing a small stage. Mrs. Thompson stood at a microphone, welcoming everyone to the career talk portion of the day. We have a very special guest speaker today, she announced. Master Sergeant Marcus Jenkins from the 5th Special Forces Group will tell us about military careers. The room filled quickly. Fathers and daughters took seats. Some mothers who had been helping with the event stayed to listen. Even the kitchen staff peeked out from the back. Zora and Lily sat in the front row. Zora couldn't stop smiling. She rarely got to hear her dad talk about his work. Marcus stood off to the side, looking calm but thoughtful. He had removed his formal jacket and now wore his dress shirt, with sleeves rolled up, showing muscular forearms. His many medals were still visible on his chest. At the back of the room, Officer Dawson stood near the door, checking his watch. He looked nervous. Just as Mrs. Thompson was about to introduce Marcus, the community center door opened. A tall teenage boy with Officer Dawson's sane nose and eyes walked in. He wore jeans and a football team t-shirt. Officer Dawson waved him over. You made it, Officer Dawson said, clearly relieved. Yeah, Dad. What's this about? The teenager asked. Just listen, Josh. This man knows what he's talking about, Officer Dawson replied. Mrs. Thompson introduced Marcus, and everyone clapped as he walked to the microphone. Thank you for having me, Marcus began in his deep, steady voice. I'm not used to giving talks. Most of my work involves being quiet and not being noticed. A few people laughed softly. I've been in the Army for 15 years, the last 10 in Special Forces, Marcus continued. But the military has many different jobs. Not everyone carries a weapon. We need doctors, engineers, computer experts, language specialists, and many other skills. The room was completely silent. Everyone listened carefully. What makes a good soldier? Marcus asked, looking around the room. It's not about being the strongest or toughest. It's about character. It's about integrity. Doing the right thing even when no one is watching. It's about respect for others, no matter who they are or where they come from. Zara noticed her dad looking briefly at Officer Dawson when he said this. Officer Dawson nodded slightly. It's about teamwork, knowing that the person next to you depends on you, and you depend on them. And it's about courage, not the absence of fear, but doing what needs to be done despite being afraid. Marcus talked for 15 minutes, sharing stories that were exciting but not secret. He told them about training in different countries, learning new languages, and helping communities affected by natural disasters. The best part of my job isn't the excitement, he said toward the end. It's knowing that what I do matters, that I'm protecting people who can't protect themselves. When Marcus finished speaking, the room erupted in applause. Many people stood up, giving him a standing ovation. During the question and answer session, many hands went up. Marcus answered questions about training, travel, and education requirements. One little girl asked if women could join special forces. Marcus explained that rules were changing, and more positions were opening for women. At the back of the room, Josh listened with wide eyes. He nudged his father. "Dad, he's the real deal," Josh whispered. Officer Dawson nodded. "Yes, he is. And I almost messed up big time by judging him and his daughter before I knew them." When the session ended, people crowded around Marcus to ask more questions. Zara stood proudly by his side, occasionally answering questions too when people asked her what it was like to have a dad in Special Forces. Officer Dawson waited patiently with Josh. He wanted to introduce his son to Marcus, but he didn't want to push. After what had happened earlier, he knew he needed to be respectful. What Officer Dawson didn't know was that Marcus had noticed them waiting, and Marcus had a plan of his own. After answering many questions, Marcus whispered something to Zora. She nodded and went to get Lily, who was waiting nearby. Then Marcus looked toward the back of the room where Officer Dawson stood with his son. He made eye contact with the officer and gave a small nod, inviting them over. Officer Dawson hesitated, then gently guided his son through the crowd. Josh looked nervous but excited. At 17, he was tall like his father but leaner, with an athlete's build. "Sergeant Jenkins," Officer Dawson said when they reached Marcus. "This is my son, Josh." Marcus shook Josh's hand firmly. "Nice to meet you, Josh. Your father mentioned you're interested in the military." "Yes, sir," Josh replied, standing straighter. "I've been thinking about it for a while. Your talk was really interesting." "Dad, who's this?" Zara asked as she returned with Lily. "This is Officer Dawson's son, Josh," Marcus explained. "And Josh, this is my daughter Zora, and her friend Lily." Josh smiled at the girls. "Hey, you're the ones who won the dance competition, right? That was cool." Zora beamed with pride. "My dad taught me all the moves." Marcus turned to Officer Dawson. "There's a coffee shop in the corner of the community center. Why don't we grab a table? The girls can have some ice cream while Josh and I talk." Officer Dawson looked surprised but nodded gratefully. "That would be great. Thank you." They found a table in the small coffee shop area. Marcus bought ice cream for the girls and coffee for the adults. Josh chose a soda. "So Josh," Marcus began, "tell me about yourself. What sports do you play?" "Football and track, sir," Josh replied. "I'm not the biggest guy on the team, but I'm fast." "Speed is valuable," Marcus said. And what subjects do you like in school? Math and physics. I'm pretty good with computers too. Marcus nodded approvingly. Those are excellent skills. The military needs people who understand technology. While the men talked, Zara and Lily enjoyed their ice cream. Zara watched her dad with admiration. Even after a long day, he was taking time to help someone else. That was just who he was. Officer Dawson mostly listened, occasionally adding something about Josh's achievements. The tension that had existed earlier between the two men seemed to be fading. You know, Marcus said after hearing more about Josh's interests, with your skills and athletics, you might consider several paths. Special Forces is one option, but there's also Army Intelligence, Cyber Command, or even the Air Force's technical divisions. Josh's eyes widened. I didn't know. There were so many options. Many people don't, Marcus said. They think military service is just about combat, but it's much more than that. Officer Dawson looked at his son proudly. Josh has always been smart. Gets that from his mother. Dad, Josh groaned, embarrassed. Marcus smiled. My daughter gets her brains from her mother too. His voice softened when mentioning Zora's mother. As they continued talking, Mrs. Thompson approached their table. Sorry to interrupt, but we're starting the father-daughter craft project in 5 minutes. It's the last activity before the closing ceremony. We'll be right there, Marcus said. He turned to Josh. Here's my card with my personal number. Call me next week, and we can talk more. I can also arrange for you to meet some other service members in different specialties. Josh took the card carefully, as if it were made of gold. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Officer Dawson stood and extended his hand to Marcus. Thank you, Sergeant. This means a lot to both of us. As they shook hands, Marcus said quietly, Everyone deserves a second chance, officer. Today was about learning and growing for all of us. Officer Dawson nodded, understanding the deeper meaning behind Marcus's words. As Marcus and the girls headed to the craft area, Zara slipped her hand into her father's. Dad, you helped Officer Dawson and Josh even after what happened this morning. Why? Marcus squeezed her hand gently. Because holding on to anger only hurts yourself, princess. And sometimes, the best way to change how people think is to show them who you really are. Zara thought about this as they walked. Her dad wasn't just brave in battle. He was brave in how he treated others, even those who had been unkind. The craft area was set up with long tables covered in colorful paper, glue, scissors, and other supplies. The final activity was making memory books about the day. Each father-daughter pair would create pages showing what they had done together. Come on, Dad. Zora pulled Marcus toward an empty spot at one of the tables. Lily followed them, looking a bit sad again. What's wrong, Lily? Zara asked. I can't do this activity, Lily said quietly. It's for fathers and daughters. Marcus thought for a moment. Why don't you help us with our memory book? Then when your dad gets home from surgery, you can tell him all about the day. Lily's face brightened. Really? I can help. Of course, Marcus said. We're friends now. The three of them sat down and began working on their memory book. Zara wrote about winning the dance competition. Lily drew pictures of them in the photo booth. Marcus helped them glue in the photo strip they had taken earlier. At a nearby table, Officer Dawson and Josh were preparing to leave. The officer had to finish his shift, and Josh had homework to complete. As they passed by Marcus's table, they stopped to say goodbye. Thanks again, Sergeant Jenkins, Josh said. Call me next week, Marcus reminded him. Officer Dawson looked at their memory book. That's coming along nicely, he said. Then he seemed to make a decision. You know, I took some photos during the dance competition with my phone. Would you like to have them for your book? That would be great, Marcus said, slightly surprised. Officer Dawson sent the photos to Marcus's phone. They were good shots of Marcus and Zora dancing, caught in mid-spin during their winning performance. Thank you, Marcus said sincerely. No, thank you, Officer Dawson replied. For everything. With a nod, he and Josh left. As the afternoon wound down, the community center director took the stage for closing remarks. She thanked everyone for coming and announced that this year's Father-Daughter Day had raised enough money for new playground equipment at the local park. Before we end, she said, we have a special recognition to give out. Each year, we honor one father who exemplifies what it means to be a positive role model. This year's Father of the Year award goes to Master Sergeant Marcus Jenkins. The crowd broke into loud applause as Marcus looked at Zora in surprise. "Dad, go up there," Zora urged, her face glowing with pride. Marcus walked to the stage and accepted a small plaque. When handed the microphone, he kept his words simple. "Thank you for this honor," he said. "But the real honor is being Zora's father. She teaches me as much as I teach her." He looked directly at Zora in the audience. "When her mother passed away 3 years ago, I worried if I could raise her right on my own. But Zora is strong and kind and smart. She makes me proud every day." Many people wiped away tears as Marcus continued. "Today taught us both some important lessons. Sometimes people judge too quickly based on what they see. And sometimes they learn and grow from their mistakes." As he finished his short speech, Zora ran up to the stage and hugged him tight. The crowd gave them a standing ovation. After the closing ceremony, families began to leave. Marcus, Zora, and Lily walked out together into the late afternoon sunshine. Lily's phone buzzed with a text. "My dad's out of surgery," she announced happily. "He's picking me up in 10 minutes." "That's wonderful news," Marcus said. "Would you like us to wait with you?" "Yes, please," Lily replied. "I want him to meet you both." They sat on a bench outside the community center. Zora held their trophy in one hand and their memory book in the other. The day had been full of ups and downs, from the embarrassment at the entrance to winning the dance competition to making new friends. "Dad," Zora said thoughtfully, "today started bad but ended good." Marcus put his arm around her shoulders. "That's how life often works, Princess. It's not about how things start, but how they finish that matters." As they waited for Lily's father, Zora looked at all the families leaving the community center. She thought about Officer Dawson and Josh, about Mrs. Thompson, about winning the dance competition, and about her father being named Father of the Year. Most of all, she thought about how proud she was to be the daughter of Master Sergeant Marcus Jenkins, a man who fought for his country and also taught others about respect, forgiveness, and second chances. A real hero, not just on the battlefield, but in everyday life.